Good morning to every one of you. Respected Chief Guest, Chairman Sir, Vice Chairman Sir, Advisor Sir, Principal Sir, Vice Principal Ma'am, Dean Sir, Dean Academic Sir, staff members from various departments, and our department faculty members. Very bright and pleasant morning to every one of you. I welcome you all on behalf of Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering of Arasu Engineering College, Kumbakonam, Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu. Today we have assembled here to share the long precious goal of our department. We have received 854 responses from the participants. Out of that, 460 participants were chosen. The webinar on regulated and deregulated energy markets is not a participants of more number of panelists, attendees, and participants from various institutions and various states specializing in various categories. On behalf of our department and our institution, I welcome our chief guest, Dr. R. Anandakumar, professor from Government College of Engineering, Sengipatti, Tanjavur. Welcome, sir. I welcome our chairman, sir, and advisor, sir, for the effective conduction of this webinar. Welcome, sir. I welcome our principal, sir, vice principal, ma'am, dean academic, sir, for the successful coordination and completion of the webinar. Welcome, sir. Welcome, ma'am. I welcome the staff of various departments, my dear colleague members, and the supporting staff members for this webinar. I welcome all our panelists, attendees, and active participants of our national level webinar. Last but not least, I welcome our all other who have going to contribute in this event for making this webinar to grand success. I hope it will make a great impact on all. I once again welcome you all. Thank you. I request our faculty member and a member of webinar, Mrs. M. Saranya ma'am, to introduce our chief guest. Please, ma'am.
A very good morning to all the respected dignitaries and participants from various places of India. It is a great honor for me to introduce our
yes.
Sir.
Proceed, ma'am.
It is a great honor for me to introduce our chief guest for this webinar, Dr. R. Anandakumar. He is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering, Government College of Engineering, Sengipatti, Tanjavur. He completed his PhD in Electrical Engineering from Annamalai University, India. He completed his both UG and PG degree in the same university. He has more than 16 years of experience in teaching and research area. He published in 20 international journals and 3 national he published papers in 20 international journals and 3 national conferences. He is lifetime member in IOE. He acts as journal editorial member in reviewer of SWAM and evolutionary computation in Elsewhere and more. He is the man of wisdom and knowledge. Today, we are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to his lecture this morning. On behalf of all gathered here, I welcome you, sir, to this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Start, sir. Please, sir.
So good morning to all. I am Dr. R. Ananda Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Government College of Engineering, Singipati, Tanjavur. First of all, I welcome all the participants to this webinar. Today's webinar topic is regulated and deregulated energy markets. So this topic is very important to that power engineers because that the country around us deregulated the energy markets. So due to that deregulation in the energy markets, the industry attained that enormous growth and the customers also benefited very much. So due to the deregulation in the energy markets, there is a significant growth in that economical growth, significant improvement in the economic growth. So India also slowly switch over into that deregulated energy market. Definitely in future, so our electricity will become also deregulated. So it is important to the power engineers to know that future electricity. So this is my overview of my presentation. So under that regulated energy market, I'm going to explain what is the regulated energy market, what is the basic structure of that regulated energy market. So what are all the characteristics associated with the regulated energy market, then independent power producers, then what is the power purchasing agreement and elements of that power purchasing agreements, then what are all the issues that are associated with that power purchasing agreements, then benefits and the drawbacks of that regulated energy markets. So in deregulated energy market, I'm going to explain that what is deregulation, what is the advantage and the disadvantage of it. So list of deregulated industries. Then I am entering into that deregulated energy market. Then basic structure of that deregulated energy markets. Typical electricity with ancillary service markets, green power markets, and the real-time implementation of the deregulated energy markets. The energy crisis due to that deregulations. To the structural components associated with that deregulated energy markets, trading arrangements, the benefit and issues associated with the deregulated energy markets. Finally, I am compare that regulated and deregulated energy markets. Finally, I am conclude with the summary. So first, we will see that regulated energy markets. So the regulated energy market contains the utilities that own and operate all the electricity. From that generation to the meter, the utility has that complete control. So utility companies owns the infrastructure and transmission lines, then sells the power to the customers directly. So regarding the electricity price, the utilities must obey that rules and regulations governed by that government or electricity boards. So this type of market is often considered as that monopoly due to that limitation on the customer choice. In that regulator market, the customer has only that limited choice. It has also been a local monopoly in the sense that in any area, only that local company or the government agency only sold the electric power to the consumers. So regarding that government control, the regulated energy markets are typically characterized by a high degree of central control and often some involvement with the state government and ownerships. So the regulated markets typically contain vertically integrated utility companies that are involved in a number, if not all the stages of the supply chains. That means that independent power producer, it is not essentially include that generation, transmission, distribution. They may participate anyone. They only generate the power, or they only transmit the power, or they only distribute the power. It is not necessary for that all the chain of that supply systems. So this is that well-known basic structure of our traditional electricity power market. It consists of that generation, transmission, distribution. Finally, the power is distributed to that domestic or commercial consumers. So regarding that characteristics of that regulated energy markets, we are having that following characteristics. The first one is the monopoly franchise. The second one is the obligation to serve. Third one is the regulatory to oversight. Fourth one is the regulated rates. Fifth one is guaranteed rate of return. And finally, that least cost of we will see that the first characteristics is monopoly franchise. The monopoly franchise is nothing but only that national or electric utilities are permitted to generate, transmit, and distribute power to that consumer of that service area. The next characteristics is that obligation to serve. So the regulatory utilities must sell the power only to the consumers. They won't transmit or sell the power to the retailers and those who were not profited. Then regulatory oversights. So the electric utility strictly follow that operation based on the rules and governed by that government. Regarding that electricity rate also, the electric utility must follow that rules and the regulation governed by the government or electricity board. The next characteristics is that a guaranteed rate of return. So the guaranteed rate of return is nothing but the government must assure that the electric utility for the acceptable profit margin. The next one is that least cost of operation. So the electric utility operated in this way to minimize the overall revenues. So these are all the characteristics are associated with the regulated energy markets. So in regulated energy markets, however, some privately owned independent power producers, nothing but IPPs, are licensed to generate and very often require to model business interrupt or delay in startup losses that arise with IPPs. So in that regulated power market, some small independent power producers are also there. So normally these losses arises with that IPPs, that is business interrupt loss or delay in startup loss. So the diagram below shows that summarize that high level of a regulated market with IPP involvement. So this diagram shows that regulated market with the independent power producers involvement. So the independent power producers sell the power through that power purchasing agreements to the consumers. So we are having that generation, transmission, distributions involved with that power producers, independent power producers. The independent power producers sell the power through that power producing agreement, power purchasing agreements. We will see that what is power purchasing agreements in that consecutive slides. Here I mentioned some of the IPPs in India. The first one is that Revenue Power Limited. This is that very popular IPPs in India. So the total installed capacity around 5,600 megawatt. The products are wind power, solar power, and rooftop power. So along with the Revenue Power Limited, some other companies are also there: Adani Group, Hero, Mahindra, Astro, Greenco, and Alphanar, so on. So here I want to mention some of the independent power producer in our state. So in this table, I am mentioning that name of the IPP, the total installed capacity of the plant, and the fuel, what types of fuel they are using. So when they are signing that power purchasing agreement with that government, so how many years they are going to supply the power. So when that plant is commissioning, these details I am providing in this table. Right. The next heading is the regulated energy market with the independent power producers. So in that regulated markets, generators typically operated under that power purchasing agreements. So the power purchasing agreement, which dictate how the generator will operate within the market. So the PPA should clearly set out the scheduled tariffs and rules under which the generator will earn revenues and incur costs or penalties. So assessing losses under that power purchasing agreement in a regulated market is generally more straightforward than a deregulated market. So this diagram shows that elements of that power purchasing agreements. The typical power purchasing agreement should consist of that following items: that is electricity payment or prices, capacity payments and prices, variable costs, the contractual time periods, deliverables, and the contractors. So these are all that various elements of that power purchasing agreements. So these are all the issues are normally associated with the power purchasing agreement. The potential variable costs are revenues that fall outside of the remit of the power purchasing agreements. Revenues and the cost within the remit of the power purchasing agreement, they do not act as expected in the real world due to the PPA amendments by the government or some other alternatives. Other issues such as that non-payment of invoices or bad debits. So these are all the issues are associated with the power purchasing agreements. So next we will see that benefits and drawbacks of that regulated energy markets. The benefits are that stable electricity price. The electricity price is stable. They will not vary frequently. So long-term certainty. So definitely you get for a period of time. Then third point is they do not vanish suddenly. So here I want to mention one example to our current situation. So now that entire world is threatening due to that coronavirus, under this hostile situation, so only that government sectors, that is government hospital and government airlines only provide the service to the people. The private hospital, whereas that the private airlines are, they are vanished suddenly. So they do not vanish suddenly to our regulated energy market. So that no network congestion, so no lower wages problems are arises in that regulated energy markets. So these are all the benefits of that regulated energy markets. Next, we will see that drawbacks. The main drawbacks of that regulated energy markets are cheaper electricity is not possible because there is no competition. There is no cheaper electricity is possible. So in that regulated energy markets, only that partial customer service only. Similarly, the customer choice will not be improved. So in the regulated energy market, there is the limited innovation and that entrepreneurship is also limited. So these are all the benefit and the drawbacks of the regulated energy market. So that's all about the regulated energy market. Next, we will move on to that deregulated energy market. So this is the time for asking the poll. Sir, you may ask you may raise the poll. Hello, sir. Hello.
சார் ஆனந்தகுமார் சார் நீங்க ப்ரொசீட் பண்ணுங்க சார் இல்லனா டிலே ஆனா ஓகே நோ ப்ராப்ளம்.
Okay sir, shall I continue பண்ணட்டுமா?
பண்ணுங்க.
வீடியோ தெரியுதா?
Right. So the next heading is that next time enter into that deregulation in general. So what is deregulation? The deregulation is nothing but is the removal of government regulations or restriction in a particular industry. The purpose of deregulation is to open the door of the competitors to more business in order to offer the consumer greater choice of service and products and lower rates of products through that competition. So this is the main reason for that deregulation. So the advantages of the deregulations are no marketing arrangements. Every product, every producer has a chance to export. Producers take the ownership of their produce. That is nothing but entrepreneurship. Free marketing environment because of that above, and innovations. New innovations are possible in deregulated environment. So regarding that disadvantage of the deregulations, it exposure to that international competitions, failure of emerging producers, and price is decreased. The producer faced their enormous debits and lower wages problem arise in deregulated environment. So these are all that disadvantage of that deregulations. Here I mentioned the list out some of the regulated industries. So after implementing the deregulation in the following industries, the industry attained that enormous growth. The consumers also benefited very much. For example, consider that the airline industry, banking companies, telecommunication industry, banking sector, natural gas industries, and mail delivery. So these industries are attained that enormous growth. So customers have that various choice. Customer can get the product at a cheaper rate. So more choice for customers. So here, so in airline, trucking, telecommunication, banking sector, natural gas industries, and mail deliveries.
Sir, polls
So,
up.
yeah, You may ask the poll now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
So next we will enter into that deregulated energy market. So what is a deregulated energy market? A deregulated electricity market allows that entrance for the competitors to buy and sell electricity by permitting that market participants to invest in power plants and the transmission lines. So in this deregulated energy market, the generation owners then sell this electricity to that wholesale electricity marketers. From that wholesale electricity marketers, they supply to that retail suppliers. The retail suppliers set the price of the consumer based on that market clearing price, which are often referred to as the supply as the portion of the electricity bill. So this is the block diagram of a deregulated energy market. So in this generator represent that generating company. Here it is called that GenCos. For example, I am taking that 4. So in that deregulated market, there are many generating companies are there. So they are able to produce that power. Once the power is generated, they can send that power to that wholesale market. From the wholesale market, the power is transmitted to that retailer. Then the retailer, it is shifted to that retail market. From the retail market, is distributed to that small consumers. So in this deregulated market, the generator have that more option. So the generator can also deliver the power directly to the retailer and the large consumer also. So in that deregulated market, the generator have that many freedom to sell their electricity. So when we are addressing that business interrupt or delay in startup losses associated with the generators in deregulated markets, we need to understand the way in which they sell electricity. So unlike in a deregulated market, it is less likely that there will be one overarching contract or PPA. In that deregulated energy market, there is no power purchasing agreement. Instead of it, there is one overarching contract. So instead, there may be a large number of complex contractual agreements in place for the given generator, and there will be more options available to the generators in terms how they sell the electricity. It is also important to note many companies still act as both the generators and the retailers in that deregulated markets. So intercompany trading arrangements can be a significant factor when addressing the losses depending on the extra definition of that insured. So this block diagram shows that the typical electricity and ancillary service markets. So that deregulated energy markets consist of that forward markets and the electricity pool. So as I told already, the generator have that more option to sell the electricity. So in order to avoid the risk, the generator may sell the electricity to the forward markets. The forward markets is nothing but it can be that short-term or long-term period contracts with some retailers for that base or peak periods. So that the generator may also transmit the power to the electricity pool. So here actual competition will begin. The electricity pool consists of that DAM and intraday. The DAM is nothing but a day-ahead markets. So the result of the bids, the submitted and clear the day before the delivery. So once after the bidding, we have to deliver the power before the day. That is called the day-ahead market. And also the intraday is also possible in that electricity pool. So intraday is nothing but on the daily basis, they have to sell the power. The difference between that DAM and the intraday is the intraday, we have the sufficient time to transmit the power. So after that bidding is over, at the time of gate closure, So in order to transmit that power, the ISO must do that ancillary services. The ancillary services is nothing but it is that support to that primary work to done. So the supportive works are the provisions of the reserves to balance the frequency, power in the network, and reactive power compensation. These are all comes under ancillary services. So in derivative markets, not all the generators will receive the capacity payments, but capacity actions may be held under which successful bidders will receive the capacity payments for the finite periods with the condition they met that requisite criteria. So in the event that successful participants are unable to provide the necessary capacity when called upon, the penalties can be incurred. Because the generators in a derivative markets have a greater number of freedom when determining the strategies for revenue generation. It is important to understand that insured strategy, as this could have a bearing on the way in which they are insured, and the wider market will be impacted by a loss incident. As an example, many generators attempt to minimize the risk by selling forward a significant portion of the plant generation and locking prices in due to guarantee acceptable margins. So depending upon that forward mark commitment, this may mean generator will have the buyback or reverse forward in the event of a loss or incremental incurring incremental costs. So after the bidding, suppose the generator can't able to supply the power due to any reason, they have the option buyback or reverse its forward portion. Equally, generators that allow that greater exposure on the day-ahead market, so we'll have the greater degree of impact on the prices in those markets, which will need to be borne in mind when modeling prices for that projected case. Also, in a derivative market, there is an increased availability of renewable sources and green pricing programs. In derivative markets, the more renewable energies are available. The next is that green power market. The green power market is it's available in the deregulation. So nothing but they have to purchase the power from only that renewable energy sources. That is called the green power market. That is, it exists in the United States. The green power market is made up of all the renewable electricity voluntarily purchased by retail electricity consumers through that renewable energy certificates. In 2018, about that 6.3 million customers procured about that 134 million megawatt power of the renewable energy through that green power markets. So the voluntary green power markets is made up of the following procurement mechanisms, such as utility green pricing programs, utility renewable contracts, suppliers, unbundled energy exchange certificates, communicate choice of aggregations, power purchasing agreements, and community solar. So the actual idea of deregulation is begun in the year 1970, but it is slowly opened in that year 1992 in California. Once it is implemented, peoples are not immediately accept the deregulations. Peoples are only slowly enter into the derivative markets. After that choice of deregulation, the customers are shifted to the derivative markets. This is that US power markets. Here that white area represents that regulated gas and electricity markets. The plain blue color represents that area of regulated electricity markets, deregulated electricity markets. The light blue color represents that deregulated gas markets, and the combination of the light and dark blue represent that deregulated gas and electricity markets. Energy crisis due to deregulations. However, the improper implementation or hasty implementation of restructuring may lead to very high wholesale market prices, leading to electricity crisis like that happened in California 2000-2001, which is threatened to the big economy and caused the collateral damage throughout the West. So what happened in California in 2001 due to the wildfire, the entire transmission network are damaged. It leads to that entire blackout of the state. So it will the electricity prices are increased around that 800%. So peoples are again switch back to that regulated markets. So after times the peoples are again enter into the deregulation due to that choice. So the next is that structural components of restructured power system, restructured systems. Here the generation companies is represented by GENCOs. The PM, the power marketers are represented by PM. The power exchanges are represented by PX. The SE is nothing but scheduling coordinators. TO means transmission owners. The ISO is independent system operator. This is the topmost entity to transmit the power in deregulated market. That is ISO, independent system operator. Then ancillary service AIS. The retail service providers are represented by that R. The distribution company is represented by DISCOs. This diagram shows that structural components of restructured power system. So once that power is generated, G represents the generator, the PM represents that power marketers, PX represents that power exchangers. This is that scheduling coordinators. Here that ancillary services, then transmission owners, retailer, distributors. This is that ISO. There is a supreme entity in that deregulated energy market to transmit that power. This is independent system operators. So the independent system operator associated with the power exchangers, scheduling coordinators, transmission owners, and then ancillary services. They transmit the power to that retailer. So from that retailer, it is transmitted to that distribution company. So you will see that there is action of that structural component. First is that the GENCO and power marketers. The GENCOs and power marketers are that primary and secondary generation sectors. GENCOs are responsible for operating and maintaining the generating plant in the generation sector. And in most of the cases, these are the owners of the plant. The open transmissions allows the GENCOs to assess the transmission network without distinction and competition. DISCOs and retailers. DISCOs assumes that same responsibility on the distribution side as in a traditional supply utility. Transmission owners. The transmission owners are maintains the transmission systems. We have the responsibility of the transmission owners. The power exchangers. The power exchangers handles that power pool, which provides the forum to match electricity energy supply and demand based on the bid prices. So that actually the bidding is started in that power pool. So the power exchangers handle that power pool. So the working progress of the power exchange is they receive the bids from the power producers and customers, match the bids, decide the market clearing price, prepare the scheduling plan, provides the schedule to the ISO or transmission system operators, and adjust the scheduling plan when the transmission system is congested. So these are all the activities done by that power exchangers in deregulated energy markets. The next one is that scheduling coordinators. The scheduling coordinators aggregate participants in the energy trade and are free to use protocols that may differ from that pool rules. Scheduling coordinators are generally need a combination of classical energy scheduling, computer application such as unit commitment, as well as a mix of new tools for market analysis, strategic bidding, and contract optimization. The scheduling coordinators generally also do that metering, accounting, settlement, and billing systems to settle their clients and with that ISO. So ancillary services, I already told ancillary services. The ancillary services is nothing but give the support to that primary work. So the ancillary service providers supply the transmission network to support the services that are needed for reliable operation of the system. Here I am mentioning that some of the ancillary service like loss compensation, frequency regulation, reactive power control, spinning reserve management. These are all the ancillary services handled by that independent system operators. So next you will see that independent system operator. So as I told you, the independent system operator is that supreme entity in that deregulated energy market to transmit that power. So the ISO is that supreme entity in the control of the transmission system. The basic requirement of an ISO is disassociation from all the market participants and absence from any financial interest in the generation and the distribution business. The ISO operates the transmission grid and provide transmission services to that all the transmission customers. Regarding that objective, the ISO has that three main objectives, that is security maintenance, service quality assurance, and promotion of economic efficiency and equity. So in order to achieve this objective, the ISO performs one or more of the following functions. The first one is the power system operation functions, power market administration function, ancillary service provision function, and transmission facilities provision function. Sir, can you ask the poll now? Sir, can you ask the poll?
Sir, launching the poll, sir.
Yeah.
Deregulated energy markets allows for the entrance of competitors to buy and sell electricity. Another one does not allows for the entrance of competitors to buy and sell electricity. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Shall I continue, sir?
Please, sir.
So, right. So, in order to achieve the objectives, the ISO must perform the following functions. We will see that all the four functions one by one. The first one is that power system operation function. The power system operation function consists of the two parts. First one is operation planning function, and the second one is that real-time control function. The first point is that the performance of the power system planning function includes that performance of power system scheduling, coordination with the energy markets, performance of power system dispatch, determination of ATC. So ATC is nothing but available transfer capability. So the ISO must determine that ATC. So depending upon that available power, the ISO transmit that power to the transmission line to provide that reliable operation of that transmission grid. Then the determination of the real-time ATCs, recalculation of that short-run costs, prices for transmission related services, and the calculation of hourly prices for transmission related services. So these are all the activities are done by that power operation planning functions. Regarding that real-time control, the power system operation function should monitoring that power system operation status, monitoring system security, conducting physical network operations and network switchings, dealing with outages and emergencies, finally coordinating with the real-time system operations. So these are all the things comes under real-time control. The second one is that power market administration functions. So there are two types of markets, that is the pool market, another one is that contract market. The contract market may be that a bilateral market or multilateral market. That pool market can be run by that power exchanger or an ISO with the power exchangers. But that contract market is coordinated by one or more scheduling coordinators only. So that entire power market administration function should be handled by that power markets administrators. The third one is ancillary service provision functions. This include owning certain ancillary services for satisfactory grid operations, purchasing ancillary service transactions from market participants according to that pre-specified protocols. providing ancillary services to the transmission users and allocating costs of ancillary service among the all users. The fourth one is transmission facilities provision functions. This include that maintaining the transmission network, providing transmission facilities for all the suppliers and loads, planning transmissions, reactive power and the facts explanations, planning and commissioning own ancillary services. So next we will move on to that trading arrangements. So here we are having that four types of trading model. The first one is that pool model. The second one is that bilateral trades, and the third one is pool and bilateral trades, and the fourth one is multilateral trades. First we will see that what is that pool model. In that pool model, the competition is initiated in the generation business by creating more than one GenCo, and it is gradually brought to the distribution side where the retailers could be separated from the discos and where the consumers could be allowed to face in a choice of retail supply. So in that pool model, the independent system operator and the power exchangers operates the electricity pool to perform that price-based dispatch and provides a forum for setting the system prices and help in handling electricity traders. This is about that pool model. The next model is that bilateral trades. So the bilateral trades nothing but the model promotes the free markets competition and therefore a good way to achieve the competition in an electricity market. So in these models, suppliers and consumers independently arrange the trades, setting by themselves the amount of generation and the consumptions and the corresponding financial terms, with no involvement or interference by that system operators. So in the bilateral trades, there is no involvement of that ISO. The next one is that pool and bilateral trades. The existence of that power pool is not mandatory in this model, but it will invariably be the case. In that model, the market participants may not only bid into that pool, but also make that bilateral contract with each other. Therefore, this model provides that more flexible option for transmission access. The next one is that multilateral trades. Multilateral trades are a generation of bilateral transaction wherein scheduling coordinators or power brokers put together a group of energy producers and buyers to form a balanced transaction. In practice, multilateral and bilateral transactions will coexist with a power pool. This is that benefits and issues involved in that deregulated energy markets. So for that improved generation, the issue is network congestions. So the more number of competitors is there is a network problem will arise. For the planning efficiency, the optimal bidding of GenCo is that issues. For the cheaper electricity due to the competition and innovations, the transmission pricings. For the improved economy, the ancillary services has to be carried out for the ISO. For new jobs for power engineers, the risk analysis with that power engineers. So these are the benefits of the deregulation in energy market. So here the points are the more ways to support renewable energy options, advanced energy focused technology development, more competitive rates for consumers, and a wealth of energy options, and improved customer service, the city and statewide economic growth. So new jobs for power engineers, where technologies are ignored and good technologies are replaced in their place. The customer choice will be improved. The price of the electricity will become clearer. The usage efficiency is improved due to that restructuring the price signals. Then finally, the optimization of energy supply will take place. Here I am comparing the regulated and deregulated energy markets. So that the regulated energy market is that service oriented, whereas the deregulated energy market is the profit oriented. And in that regulated energy market, customer has limited choice. In the deregulated energy market, the customer has more choice. So in regulated energy market, cheaper electricity is not possible, but in that deregulated energy market, cheaper electricity is possible through the competitions. In regulated energy market, there is no network congestions because of that limited peoples are there. There is no competition, so there is no network problem in regulated energy market. But in the deregulated energy markets, there is a lot of competitors, so more network congestions occur in that deregulated energy markets. So in the regulated energy market, we are having only that partial customer service only, but in that deregulated energy market, we have that improved customer service. In the regulated energy market, the limited innovation and entrepreneurship, but in the deregulated energy market, the more innovations are there and the entrepreneurship is also available, more opportunities for that beginners. So in regulated energy market, no lower wages problem arises, but here that more lower wages problem arises in that deregulated energy market. Here no internal competition, here there more internal competition in that deregulated energy markets. Finally, I am conclude with a summary. While there are many differences in regulated and deregulated electricity markets, most states see that the most benefit is having the combination of two. Thank you. So if you have any queries, you can ask me regarding that deregulated energy markets. If you are having any queries, you can ask me. Or otherwise you can post a message. Whichever is easy, you can do it.
Or you may raise your hands also. Sir, Anand Kumar sir.
Tell me, sir.
Sir, one of the participants asking the question.
Yeah.
How deregulator marketing is going to influence renewable energy sector? They are asking the question. ML Gauhar, I think.
Okay. So actually, the deregulated energy markets are the more competitors now. It is not a government now. They are in that power producers. So they are having that more option to renewable that without atmosphering that without polluting the atmosphere. They want to purchase the power. So for that, in the reliability, they are having the more preference to that renewable energy source. So around that, there is one electricity is called that green power projects. Now the peoples are motivated to purchase the power without polluting the atmosphere. So the renewable energy source plays the major impact on that deregulated markets. So that's what the deregulated market encourages that renewable energy source. It is clear or not?
Yeah, sir. Any question from YouTube, sir?
One second, sir. Sir, or one question in YouTube, huh?
But tell the participant's name and ask the question.
Parveendran Kannan.
Yes, sir. Ask the question to our guest.
Is restructuring is possible to implement in our country?
Yeah, definitely possible, sir. In some of the states like Mumbai, Delhi, they are already implemented. So they are slowly switch over into that area. Definitely in future, the Indian electricity will become deregulated. It is possible by America, United States, England. No, it is not for India. In which way we are deviated from that America? No, definitely in future, our electricity will also become deregulated, like that. Telephone industries, airlines, banking sector, like that. Definitely, recently the railways also deregulated means. In future, definitely we are also having that deregulated energy market. There is no doubt in it. So already it is implemented in that some of the state, like we have that Tata Power, Adani Power, Rapno Power Limited. So in other state, north side, they are having that deregulated in that particular area. Only thing is, it is not implemented around the country. It is limited. Definitely in the future, everyone in the country, there should be the deregulated market only.
Okay, sir. Another one question from Preeti Singh.
Yeah.
What is the difference between deregulated energy source and green energy source?
So the green energy source is nothing but they are purchasing power only from that renewable energy source. The deregulations may be that conventional or non-conventional. The green price power market means they have to purchase only power only from that renewable energy sources like that solar, wind, hydro. From that only they are getting the power. So that is called that green power. So these powers don't pollute the atmosphere. For that reason, it is called that green power.
Sir, one of the question from participant side.
Yeah.
Sir, Paramasivam sir, Dr. Paramasivam sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, ask the question from our guest, sir. Please, sir.
In bilateral contract,
Yeah.
the ISO cannot be involved in discussion. Why
Yeah.
is the ISO is involved in the deregulation? In bilateral contract is possible.
No, sir, not like that. They were having that 4 types of model. The full model,
Okay.
full model. Here they are setting the strategies like that.
Okay, sir. But my question is, the ISO is only entering point is allowable the contract between the buyer and seller.
So what is ISO? ISO is that superior maintained So it is not necessary to ISO involved in that all the area. So we are having that four models, sir. Now only in that model, ISO is not involved. Instead of ISO, scheduling coordinators are there. They are having that type of models.
Already previously contracted.
Yeah.
Contract is
They are set up the model like this. I am not setting up. The model is already exist in that trades.
Okay, this possible for ISO. This
Yes,
contract
sir. Yes,
is okay.
Sir,
Another one question from Susmita M.
Yeah.
Which type of market is best suitable in high democratic area?
Sir, actually that the combination of two, sir. Both the regulator and the deregulator both are exist in a country. Then we'll have that benefit. Because only that the private sector only is there now, they will increase the price. So for example, if you take that mobile industry, so we are having that Vodafone, Ideas, and some other companies along with the BSNLs. So because of that BSNL only, the all other competitors don't raise that price. If they are raising the price, they are switch over to the government side. If the government raises, they are switch over to that private side. So the combination of two only give the benefits.
Sir, another one participant is asking, sir, question.
Yeah.
Where can we find electricity market data for electricity market?
Where for India or foreign countries?
They are generally asking, sir, market data.
In that, if you want the data now, you can go for that government site, energy exchange market. If you go to the site energy exchange, now they will publish the data. And if you want the power production, you can go to that Coal India Limited or Ministry of Coal site. Every year they have to deliver the data details. Coal India Limited or Ministry of Coal.
Okay, sir. Another one question from Dr. Deepesh Sharma, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, Deepesh, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, ask the question, sir, from our guest.
Sir, is it possible for the buyer to purchase power from the generator?
Yeah, in the regulated market, buyers means large consumers. Not only individual cannot purchase, large consumer can purchase the power from that generator directly without going to the wholesale market. That is possible in deregulation.
What is its process, sir?
No, you have to submit the bid.
So bidding, through bidding?
Yeah, through bidding.
Okay.
Sir, another one question from Rajan Ramamurthy.
Yeah.
Sir, Rajan, sir.
Yes, I am Rajan Ramamurthy.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, ask the question. Sir, Rajan, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ask the question, sir, please, sir, from our guest.
Sir, one remain question, sir.
Yeah, tell me, sir.
சந்திர சார் அதான் டிஸ்டர்ப் ஆகுதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். vote of thanks முடிச்சுக்கலாம்.
Sir, no problem. You can post me
Sir,
a
Elcott, sir.
message. Post me a message.
Sir, another one person, Elcott.
Yeah, sir. What is the power consumption of Tamil Nadu today? What is the total power consumption?
Day to day or year?
Day to day. Day to day, sir.
Day to day, wow.
Yeah.
For Tamil Nadu, you are asking, huh?
Yeah, we are Tamil Nadu. I am Santana Krishnan, sir.
Yeah. It's around, wait a minute.
What is the installed capacity of solar power and wind power in Tamil Nadu, sir?
Oh. Total internal capacity is 370,106 gigawatts, sir, as on 31st March of 2020.
Wind or what is the installed capacity, sir?
All the total installed capacity is 370.
Total renewable power. Yeah. What is the daily consumption of Tamil Nadu, sir?
Daily, this is varies, sir. Depends upon the load, it is vary. It is not actual constant.
There is a previous data. Any previous data, sir?
No, if you want this data now, you can see it in that energy service management.
Can you share the link, sir?
Oh, I will share it. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Sir, any question from your side?
Sir,
Sir?
Yes, sir. Can you please share issues related to deregulated power supply distribution?
Deregulated issues, we are having that more competitors, various problems, network congestions, more network congestions. These are all the issues associated with that, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question from the YouTube.
Yeah.
What about the reliability role in deregulated market?
The reliability is maintained by that ISO, sir. For that, they have to calculate that available transfer capability. So based on the available transfer capability, ISO transmit the power to that transmission grid to guarantee that economic operation, reliable operation of the power system.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question from the YouTube, sir.
Yeah.
Is power quality play a major role in deregulation?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thiagu, sir?
Okay, sir. Ready.
Okay, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. I will revoke the share screen, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I request our coordinator to propose vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. On behalf of EEE department.
Hello.
On behalf of EEE department and RS Engineering College and the entire team present here today, on my own behalf, extend a very happy vote of thanks to our chief guest, Dr. R. Anandakumar, for taking time. To our chief guest for the inspiring motivational talk. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record of our hearty thanks to Chairman sir, Vice Chairman sir, and Advisor sir for the perfect logistic support and guidance that they extend to all of us for this webinar. I also extend my thanks to Principal Sir, Vice Principal Ma'am, Dean Sir for their enormous cooperation to bring this webinar more successful. I would like to thank our HOD and beloved staff members for their effective support to bring this webinar more successful. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all others who have contributed in this webinar to make this event great success. Finally, I would like to thank each and every one of you for their moral support. Thanks once again. Thank you very much.